In this video, we're going to take a look at EventSentry's Sysmon management capabilities that are part of the security and compliance functionality. Sysmon is part of the Microsoft Sysinternal Suite, a free product that you can download from Microsoft's website. If you're not familiar with Sysmon, I'd recommend to take a look at the Microsoft webpage that outlines all the functionality that Sysmon provides. But in a nutshell, Sysmon is a Windows driver that takes and supplements the built-in audit capabilities of Windows. So Windows already has a pretty strong audit subsystem and gives you a lot of insight into the happenings of Windows, especially from a security standpoint, but Sysinternal just supplements that and takes it to the next level by providing additional information. For example, Sysmon will indicate when a process opens up a network connection by logging which IP address or host name that process is connecting to. It will show you which DLLs a process loads and much more. One of the caveats of Sysmon is that there is really no utility that lets you install, deploy, and manage Sysmon on your network. So if you want to utilize Sysmon, you're going to have to download that utility and install it manually on each endpoint where you want to collect these enhanced Sysmon audit logs. And that's fine if you're looking to install this on a couple of systems, but if you want to deploy this network-wide, which is really something we recommend in most cases, then that becomes pretty cumbersome. And we're alleviating that with EventSentry's Sysmon management capabilities. So, as always, you can create a package in EventSentry under Security and Compliance and add the Sysmon object, or you can add the Sysmon object to an existing package as well. And once you do that, you get presented with the Sysmon dialog that doesn't actually have a whole lot of configuration options. So we're going to just start from the top here. So here we have three options. First one is manage configuration only. So what that does, as the name implies, it will not install or uninstall Sysmon for you. So it assumes that you already installed it in some way. But it will make sure that your Sysmon installations will have the configuration that's shown here in this main text area here. So whenever you make a change and you save or deploy the configuration of EventSentry, it will tell the local Sysmon configuration that's running on the same host where the agent is running to use this configuration now instead. So you don't have to copy configuration files anymore. You simply update the configuration here in this field, save the configuration, and EventSentry will update this on the remote hosts. Now the second option is install and keep updated. If you select this, then EventSentry will actually install Sysmon on these hosts if it's not already installed, and if there's a new version, it will update Sysmon to the latest version. And it does this by connecting to the URL that's specified here. If you click use default, it will just default to this here. And you can change this to any web server that's under your control, for example. So if you have an internal web server you want to host Sysmon, then you can do that. You can simply specify the URL that points to that Sysmon installation, or if you have a validated, approved version of Sysmon, then you can do that as well if you don't want to point it to the latest version on Microsoft's website. Or you can also specify a UNC path. So the important thing is just that you point it to a zip file, just as it is used by Microsoft, that then contains the executables and driver files inside that archive. So that's what EventSentry will expect. The last option here is uninstall. So if you've used EventSentry to install Sysmon but want to uninstall it again and you don't have any other means of doing that, then you can select this option here. And if you do that, then the EventSentry agent will uninstall Sysmon from all monitored hosts. So that's not something that you'll usually use a lot, but if you've installed it and for some reason you need to uninstall it, then you can go with this option. Of course, you can also create a custom package here that is only assigned to a handful of computers where you want to remove Sysmon from, for example. So we'll go back to here. So the refresh version every 7 days. So this is how often the agent will actually connect to that URL or UNC path, whatever you have specified, download the zip file, extract it, and compare the version that's in that zip file with the installed version on that host. If it is newer, it will update it. Generally, I would recommend here a higher interval. Sysmon isn't usually updated that often. Once a month in most cases is probably sufficient. Here in this text area, we provide our default Sysmon configuration file that's based on Swift-on security. There are a few customizations in there geared towards EventSentry to suppress some noise from EventSentry processes. I'd recommend to use the copy and paste buttons here if you want to change this, or to use the load and save as buttons here if you wanted to bring in an updated configuration file. If you use the use default button here, it will ask you if you wanted to use the built-in configuration file. So first of all, we're confirming that we actually want to update it. Then it's asking us, do we want to use the built-in configuration file? So that's the one that's shipped with the installer that you downloaded from our website. Or you can also use the online version from GitHub. So it's up to you which version you want to select here. So we can say we use a local one, and then it simply reverts to that. And that's all there's to it. To summarize here, in most cases you'll want to use the install and keep update option here, pointed to the Microsoft official URL, or you can copy this to a UNC path, specify how often you want the agents to check, review the configuration file here, and essentially deploy the configuration. Once you've done that, all the remote agents to which this package is assigned to will install the latest version of Sysmon and keep it updated as well as keep the configuration updated.